Welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the divisibility rules of 2, 5, and 10, and we're going to answer which numbers are and aren't divisible by numbers 2, 5, and 10. So let's dive in. All right, so the key concepts for today are that a number that's final digit is 0, 2, 4, 6, or 8 is divisible by 2. Therefore, if the final digit, the last digit of a number is even, that number is also even, divisible by 2. A number that ends in 0 or 5 is divisible by 5. So same thing, we just look at the final digit. If it's 0 or 5, then it's divisible by 5. And if a number ends in 0, then that means it's divisible by 10. So keep in mind that it's possible for some numbers to be divisible by more than one of these, or even for the number to be divisible by 2, 5, and 10, all three, in the event that it ends in 0. So it's possible for a number to have more than one of these as factors. So here it says to look at each number and decide if the following numbers are divisible by 2, 5, 10, or none of the above. So let's start with the first one, 55. Well, this one ends in 5, and we know that to be divisible by 2, that final digit would have to be 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. Since 5 is not in that list, this number 55 is not divisible by 2. Now, what about by 5? If it is divisible by 5, it must end in either 5 or 0, and it does. It ends in 5, so therefore this number is divisible by 5. Now, what about for 10? To be divisible by 10, it must end in a 0, and it does not, so it's not divisible by 10. So this first number is only divisible by 5 and nothing else. Let's try the second one. The second one ends in digit 4. So digit 4 is on the list for 2, right? Because for 2, the list is 2, 4, 6, 8, or 0. So therefore, this is divisible by 2. To be divisible by 5, it would have to end in 5 or 0, which it doesn't. It ends in 4. And then for 10, it would have to be ending in 0, which it does not. It ends in 4. So the second one is only divisible by 2. Now, what about the third one? The third one ends in 0. So therefore, that 0 is on the list for 2. So therefore, this is divisible by 2 because it ends in 0. It also is divisible by 5 because it ends in 0, which is in the list of 5 or 0. And it's also divisible by 10 because in order to be divisible by 10, a number must end in 0. Now, something a lot of people might ask is, well, but all numbers that are divisible by 10 end in 0, and if a number is ending in 0, then it's also divisible by 2 and 5 automatically. So does that mean all numbers that are divisible by 10 are also divisible by 2 and 5? And absolutely, that is true. If a number is divisible by 10, it means automatically it is divisible by 2 and 5 also. But not all numbers divisible by 2 and all numbers divisible by 5 are necessarily divisible by 10. It depends. All right, so this brings us to the next question, which is to give two numbers that are divisible by all of 2, 5, and 10. So what characteristic must these two numbers have? Because there's many more than two answers. There's many possible answers I could give here. But the thing is, for a number to be divisible by all of them, 2, 5, and 10, it has to end in 0 to meet all that criteria. So I could give any two numbers that end in 0. So for example, 340 is one of them, or 57840, any number that ends in 0. So these are two examples, but there's actually infinitely many numbers that I could write here that would be the correct answer. As long as any number I write ends in a 0, it is a correct answer here. All right, well, as always, if you have any questions, please leave those down in the comment section, and we'll see you for the next one.